first of all, have a quick read of those and can you tell me what the difference is between dicotyledon and mono? And you've also got that handout I've just given you as well, and it tells you on there. Dicotyledon and monocotyledon.
And one has two and one has one. That's the difference. Two seed leaves and a single seed leaf.
Yes, now if you read that, I mean this handout, I have to be honest, it is a little bit quite confusing when you read it. It says plants having an embryo of a single cotyledon, usually parallel veined leaves. That's the real key thing to remember. The floral organs arranged in cycles of 3. This group includes things like grasses, lilies, orchids, palms. Dicotyledon is, and if you look, netted leaf venation. So, look at the leaf, okay? So, a monocotyledon, if the leaf, which is why, if you look at this, this leaf here, the lily, would you say the veins, now you're looking at the veins, okay? Are these veins a monocotyledon or a dicotyledon?
Mono.
Why?
Because they're parallel.
Because they're parallel and they're straight, yeah. Okay, so parallel veins. And they're practically always like that, straight up, yeah? Which is why things like orchids have the same, grasses. So you've got to look at the veins, okay, of the actual leaf. You can look at the flowers, but that can become a little bit confusing. So the sort of thing to help you really is to look at the actual leaf, okay, and what the vein is. So if that's the case with dicotyledon, what's monocotyledon? The veins.
Many veins. Oh, wait. Hang on, that's the other way around.
Sorry, you mean
It's the other way around. Other way around.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, right, okay. Oh, some good spotting. That's parallel. Okay. So which way, what do the veins do in the dio?
They probably cross over each other and go in different directions. And
Yeah, so let's look at this leaf on this theory. What would you say the leaf of that is? Would you say that that's the dicotyledon leaf?
yeah.
Yeah? Because the veins, that it run, you have a central vein, but then there's lots of veins that come off like this. Yeah? They come off like shooting off. That's classed as dicotyledon. So what you need to do for this plant groups is try to say which plant group your planned design belongs to. Does it belong to the dicotyledon plant group, or does it belong to the monocotyledon plant group?
So you can't mix them. You have to do one or the other.
You can mix, but you need to make sure you identify which one's which.
Okay.
Because I suppose when you think about it, they may be different plant groups, but they still may be compatible in their environmental factors. So yeah, you can mix.
Would you say the majority of plants and leaves and flowers would be dicotyledon?
So when I was looking through the plant IDs here, most of them tend to be dicotyledons. So I'm going to put these on ENIC for you because some of these plants you might want to use in your planning of this micro project. So if you have a look at page 1, the second one for the chorus, the grass, the plant group is monocotyledon, it's grasses. You see those veins are really running parallel. The aglamina at the bottom is a dicotyledon because if you look at the veins, they're sort of going off in different directions. Does that make it clear what the two different ones are? The other thing you could also look at in plant groups, and to keep it simple, is whether they fall into the category of things like orchids, ferns, grasses, olds, succulents, cacti. Yeah, they're plant groups also.
What would you say water lilies and longiflorous are succulents?
they're more of a water plant, aren't they? So I wouldn't say they're quite succulent. I think that you'd have to research that one, but I think they'll be slightly different. If your microclimate is suitable, so obviously your environmental factors is more about the water element and how the water is making them survive. So you need to just think always about that. But yeah, it's possible. You wouldn't want to put an orchid in the water because obviously it's not going to last. Yeah. So choose a group. So also on this handout, there's some examples of some different bulbs that you might find useful if you're going to do that. So at the back, you've got things like your typical hyacinth bulb, your corms, which is a different shape, which is like your crocuses, and your gladioli, tubers, which is again a different shaped bulb, and it's not actually, it's a stem or a root. Okay, now I'm not saying you have to do this, but this might be some useful information. And there's a different type one here called a rhizome, which all grow underground, but you didn't realise there was so many. Yeah?
So we have to mention.
No, only if you chose that as a plant group. If you chose that as a plant group. If you chose ferns, then obviously that's not relevant. But what you would need to talk about is you've chosen the fern group because maybe it's for my swimming pool lounge. It likes lots of humidity and sunlight, which is why I've chosen my fern group. And my ferns are, would you say they're dicotyledon or mono ferns? I'd say majority are dicotyledon, yeah. So you'd have to look at your plant group. But no, you don't need to. But what I wouldn't do is really mix your plant groups here. I don't think you would have a design where you've got some cacti in there and then maybe like a grass or a fern. They're not quite compatible. So you need to choose groups that are compatible with each other. Obviously cacti are good for more dry conditions. Lots of dry
So many times in the bathroom.
So would you put cacti in maybe your swimming pool lounge?
No.
No? Why?
Because it'd be too much humidity.
Lots of moisture, so they'll go sort of soft and mushy and horrible. Yeah? If it's quite a dry condition, succulents are good because succulents retain lots of water, and if they forget to water them, then they've got natural drinking source. So if it's a hot place.
That's quite clever.
Yeah, that's why they've got loads of water inside. So that's why really you can't really neglect a succulent plant because they'll just look after themselves. They're great for indoors. Yeah? So when you do this, it's just working out which one of them it falls into and which group you're choosing to fit your two, your corporate client and then your plant. Yeah? Anyone got any questions about this at all?
Sorry, what did you say? I didn't come in at that point. Corporate client.
Yeah. So your two designs have to be for a corporate client. So they're not for someone that's moving into a new home. It has to be for a business. And you don't have to make them. You just sketch them and label them. Maybe find out about the